Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, I am Vijay and I make videos around AI and LLMs. So if this is something that interests you, then do consider subscribing to my channel. With that, let's dive into the video. So this is a playlist where I discuss the various prompting techniques. In the previous video, we built an intuition as to why we need such varied prompting techniques. But in this video, we'll discuss a couple of them in detail, namely zero shot and few shot prompting. I'll give some examples and let's solidify our understanding of these two techniques in particular. Starting with zero shot prompting, even before leaving out the prompting aspect also, right? A zero shot by definition refers to a method in machine learning or AI where a model performs a task it was not explicitly trained on without being shown in any examples of that specific task. Now, what do I mean by this? Let's straight away go to the OpenAI's playground and let me show you what I mean by the definition with some examples. Let's say I'm doing a sentiment analysis, right? So maybe the prompt could be find the sentiment of this review, and the review is this movie was great. The sentiment of the review is positive, right? Perfect. Now let's say I copy this. The movie was boring, and it says it is negative. Now what if I give it, maybe the movie was boring, but the climax was amazing. The sentiment of this review is mixed. uh, Great, right? Now, sure, as a human, you'll think of a review as positive, negative, maybe mixed or neutral. But how did the model know this? I did not give it any specific example. So how did it know that this is what I intended it to perform? And that's because, like I mentioned in the previous video, LLMs are trained on large quantities of data. So it's possible that such uh, sentiment related data was also fed into it, or maybe reviews were fed into the data. So the model inherently knows that when I say a sentiment analysis, it more or less falls into like a positive, negative, and a neutral category. So this is what I mean by zero shot prompting. No examples, but still it was able to perform uh, even when I did not train it on the particular task explicitly. Now, sure, we could categorize it as positive, negative, and sort of mixed. But what if I have more sort of sentiments in mind, right? Maybe I want to capture happy, sad, some sort of satisfaction, and so on, right? One way is to so like I mentioned, all of this is based on the kind of training data that was fed into it, right? So what if I also feed in a bunch of training data that has reviews which is categorized into more than two or three categories? Sure, that's obviously the one way of optimizing the model uh, and guiding it, or rather training it in such a way that I get the kind of output that I want. But this is such an expensive process. You need to retrain the LLMs. You need to have such technical expertise in the first place. But that's when something called as in context learning comes in, right? In context learning. And what this means is that LLMs are powerful enough to learn at the time of execution based on few examples, right? So it is going to perform a certain way, but you can give it some examples for it to learn at the time of execution to then output in the required format. And this is what few shot means. Few shot refers to either a ML technique or a prompt engineering method that uses a small number of examples to guide a model's output. Now let's see here, right? Let's say the movie was great. So let's say this is happy and positive, right? Of course, I don't know if it's happy, but I'm just trying to capture more than one kind of sentiment, right? Um, the movie was boring. Let's say this is sad and negative, and the movie was boring, but I love the climax. Neutral and excited. Probably doesn't make sense, but yeah. So what I'm trying to do is give it some examples, right? Now let's provide a new example. Such an amazing director. Oops. And let's put a question mark, or just let's try with this. See, now it's able to give it more than one sentiment. It says happy and enthusiastic. Um, so so this is how we can guide the LLM by providing some examples. Now, of course, this was a simple one, right? Now you could also add like a zero shot prompting as well. You could say you could have just told something like hey, describe it in more than one sentiment, right? And here are the sentiment lists, and I could give it a list. I could say happy, sad, positive, negative, neutral, excited, and so on. And the model would have done a good job as well, right? Um, and this is a simpler use case here. So it could have done well even within a zero shot prompting method as well. But what happens is when you go towards complex ones where maybe you're trying to retrieve some data from a JSON format and it's just not able to understand the kind of uh, natural language instruction that you provide. So maybe in these cases, along with natural language, you will also have to provide certain examples, right? And of course, when I say few short prompting, it refers to the examples. In this case, I gave 3 examples, so this would be called a 3 shot prompting. You could go for 1 shot prompting, and sometimes you just need more examples, so you could go 5, 9, 10 shot prompting as well. Now this of course has its own drawbacks, and that's something that we'll discuss in the next video, where I discuss the chain of thought prompting. But for this video, I think we developed an understanding of what a zero shot prompting is, where it has its own drawbacks, and how few shot prompting helps us overcome that. But yeah, that's it for the video. Do let me know how what kind of other techniques you want me to discuss, and how you like this one. Thank you.